Good afternoon, lecturers and instructors, and everybody in this room. So, my topic for today is analyzing suicide and contributing factors in Thailand using classification by logistic regression, decision trees, and support vector machine. So, the author of this studies is Mrs. Kantisha Wongtei, Kisana Sitombun, and Tarisha Sutiwong. And my advisors is Mr. Alitat Sitat Wongkorn and me, Pilawat Kidipumong, as a host for this session. This is my agenda for today, so there are 5 of them. Started with the introductions. So, the World Health Organization, or WHO, revealed that over 700,000 people over the world has been suicide each year. And in Thailand, the suicide rates are increasing every year. So this is the rates from the past few years ago. Started with 2017, 6.07 people from 100,000 people in Thailand succeed in suicide. In 2018, 6.32 people from 100,000 people succeed in suicide. In 2019, 6.64 people from 100,000 people in Thailand succeed in suicide, and shockingly increasing in 2020 to 7.37 people from 100,000 people in Thailand succeed in suicide. These numbers from 2017 to 2020 increased by 22.23%. The objective of these studies start with the model. To create a model to predict and prevent a person to attempting suicide by using an algorithm that included with the key factors that lead the person to suicide. The problem of the Suicide Prevention Center of Thailand. The first one is the lacking of human resource and time. So because of lacking of the human resources and time, the Suicide Prevention Center of Thailand cannot focus on everyone that has the problem. So they can only focus on the high-risk person. Next one is the related works. What difference between these studies and other studies? The other studies predict the possibility of committing suicide by focusing on the dominant factors. But on these studies, they predict the possibility of committing suicide and focusing only the leading factors. So the factors that led the person to attempting suicide. The next agenda is the data context. The data context included with the data sources. So the Suicide Prevention Center of Thailand has 4 sources that get in the study cases. The first is from the hospital. The second is from the health center. The third one is by visiting the houses, and the last one is from the official reports. So the official reports is about the government reports or from the news. And from all the 4 sources, there are 49,417 cases to study in these studies. And split it into 2 sections. The first one that is the cases that are attempting to suicide but not succeed. So there are 34,000 about 34,000 of them attempting but not succeed, and shockingly, the 50,000 of the cases succeed in suicide. So the data context not only included with the study case but also included with the factors that the person has before they attempting to suicide. There are 4 factors in the studies. So the first one is the general factor It's about the age, relationship, the gender, and the occupation. The second one is the suicide approach. So, like the overdosing, the gun, hanging, or chemicals. The third one is the disease. Some person have some kind of schizophrenia or the depression. And the last one is the circumstance. That is like the situation, the time that a person attempted to suicide. The fourth data is the methodology. So, in these studies, there are 4 steps that researcher uses. The first is data preparation. The second is the background and theory. The third one is the exploratory data analysis or EDA. And the last one is the performance comparison and the model optimization. First, with the data preparation, to ensure that every data is going to be useful in the studies. So, in the left side, there are the example of the table that they use in the studies. This is the maturity status, is the status of the people. Their example like they are single or not, they are married or not, unknown, separated or divorces. And they turn into the record in numbers to use to analyze. The next one is the background theory. So there are 3 algorithms that uses in this study. The first one is the logistic regression. The second one is the decision tree. And the last one is the support vector machine. So from all the 3 processes, from all the 2 processes, they can analyze the experimental data analysis and analyzing the suicide attempts from male and female. This is the example graph from the studies also. So the green one is the suicide death and the yellow one is the suicide attempts. From this graph, you can see that male are more likely to succeed from the suicide attempts larger than the female, and also female have done more suicide attempts than the male, but not succeed from suicide. The next example graph is the analyzing suicide attempt from the suicide approach. So this 4 approach is the suicide method that in these studies uses. So from the graph, mostly overdosing is the most popular way to done suicide attempts, but the least succeed. Hanging is the second popular way to done suicide attempts, but also the second effective way to succeed. But the guns is the most effective way to succeed in suicide. You may see that why the guns is the most effective way. Here is the percentage of the suicide death from the suicide attempt. You can see that the guns having an 87.96 percentage, so the gun is the most effective way. The performance comparison and the model optimization. So there are 2 models used in this study. The first is the general model and the second is the practical model. The general model is more likely useful of all the factors until the incident has happened. But the practical model is for the real world usage. It's like for the real life that you don't know that the person has to done a suicide attempt or not. So the practical model is more likely to use in the real world. And this is the comparison table of the general model and the practical model. So you can see that the algorithm that uses, there are 3 algorithms. So the general model have the base algorithm that uses is the SPM up to 86.97%, and the practical model has the decision tree of 65%. So in the conclusion, you can see that the general model have a high recall, but cannot use in the real life because they have to have the factors after the incident happened. But the practical model is more useful for prevent the incidents happens by having more than half of the recall rates is also useful for the futures. And this is the reference of all. And thank you everyone for listening.